Hey everyone! Today, I want to chat about some of the main surface finishing methods used in building decoration materials. These are samples placed in my office by various manufacturers. Modern decorative materials have two really strong characteristics. First, the finished decorative panels are made directly in the factory, so there's no need to do any finishing on site. This is actually a core requirement for prefabricated interior fitting. Second, the base substrate and the surface finish are two totally different things. It's really hard to tell what the base material is just by looking at the surface finish. For example, you can give a metal sheet a wood grain finish, but you definitely shouldn't assume it's a wood board just from how it looks. The most accurate way is to slice it open and check the cross section to see the actual material. Now, there's a huge variety of materials and methods for surface finishes, but if we categorize them, they mostly fall into three main types. One is melamine paper lamination, another is resin film wrapping, and the third is coating finishes. Let me briefly walk you through the features, pros, and cons of these three finishes. The melamine paper process started early on in Europe, and here in China, we started using it on a large scale around the turn of the century. The process is pretty simple. Raw base paper is soaked in a melamine solution, laid over the baseboard, and bonded under high heat and high pressure. At this point, the melamine undergoes a chemical reaction and cures into a tough, thermosetting melamine resin. It seeps into the surface of the baseboard and locks in tightly, so it won't peel off. Because melamine is very hard and wear resistant, it works great for furniture boards, which is why a huge amount of the furniture we see today actually uses melamine boards, including laminate flooring. The surface of laminate flooring is also melamine paper mixed with aluminum oxide to give it even higher hardness and wear resistance. Lately, a lot of calcium silicate boards have also started using melamine paper lamination on the surface. These are what the market calls fire and ice boards. Talking about the pros of melamine paper laminated boards: high hardness, great wear resistance. The finish doesn't easily peel off, and production costs are low. But melamine boards have their deal breakers too. Melamine paper is extremely hard and doesn't bend well, so it's not suitable for curved boards, and you can't wrap the edges with it. Usually, dedicated edge banding strips are glued onto the sides, which causes a slight visual difference between the front face and the edges. Another thing is that melamine paper isn't suitable for finishing metal substrates. Metal surfaces are dense, so melamine can't penetrate into the baseboard, which means it can't bond tightly with the metal surface. It's also not suitable for organic boards like wood plastic composites or stone plastic composites, because they soften and deform at high temperatures, whereas melamine paper lamination requires high heat and pressure. Organic boards just can't take that. Next, let's talk about resin film wrapping. Resin film wrapping is a process that uses thermoplastic resin film to cover and wrap the baseboard. Common ones use everyday thermoplastic resins like PVC, PP, and PET. Since these materials naturally get soft at high temperatures, they can easily wrap around and stick tightly to the surface of the baseboard. So if the board surface has curved areas or carved textures, resin film wrapping is a better way to go. The edges of the board can also be wrapped seamlessly, giving it a much nicer overall feel. However, because resin film itself isn't sticky, an adhesive layer has to be added between it and the baseboard. In the past, cold glues were used which contained formaldehyde, but nowadays many manufacturers use PUR hot melt glue processes, so there's no formaldehyde issue. Some boards, like wood plastic or stone plastic boards, are extruded at high temperatures, so the film can be attached directly during extrusion without even needing glue. Therefore, it solves a lot of the problems melamine paper finishes have, and it can also pull off a lot of textures and tactile feels, like a leather texture or a metallic shine, that traditional melamine paper just can't do. That said, resin film wrapping isn't without its downsides. For instance, decorative films are usually softer than melamine paper and easier to scratch, so we might add a clear wear-resistant layer on top. Some resin films, like PVC film, also tend to fall short compared to melamine paper when it comes to high-temperature resistance and durability. Overall, resin film wrapping costs slightly more than melamine paper finishes. Now let's talk about the coating process. The coating process is basically applying paint or liquid coatings onto the substrate surface. Compared to the two methods above, this one has the richest variety of options. You can spray it, brush it, machine roll coat it, or even use various inkjets and printing methods. Plus, it works on all kinds of baseboards like metal plates, ceramics, various inorganic boards, high polymers, composite materials, and so on. There are tons of coating types too, like various indoor UV paints, as well as weather-resistant outdoor coatings. Aside from making the finish look good, many coatings also come with special functions, like wear resistance, high temperature resistance, electrical insulation, weather resistance, anti-corrosion, antibacterial, flame retardancy, self-cleaning, and more. There's a lot of depth to this topic, and we could do plenty of future video episodes just talking about it. So, if you need a functional decorative board, like hospitals requiring antibacterial surfaces, ships requiring anti-corrosion, or exterior walls needing self-cleaning, going with a suitable coating process is definitely a better choice. Besides these three, there are plenty of other surface finish treatments for decorative materials, like electroplating or anodizing for metal sheets, but they aren't as widely used as the big three we just covered. We can also dedicate some special sections to introduce these to you in the future. Finally, to say something. Which finish to go with ultimately depends on many factors, like your specific application scenario and how you need to control material costs. Remember, pay attention before you leave.